Can I ask a quick question? Sure. Okay, so you talk in the book about your mother and everything with her, with finding your mother and all that stuff, which really like resonated with me because the last time I saw my mom, she was sitting on the toilet, and like that's the last time I saw her, like in the hospital. She was there, and then I left, and then so like I have, since my mom died, I've done that. Like before I was angry because she was an addict. So now that she's died, I'm like, oh, but she was abused as a kid. She was sexually abused. She was severely abused. So the life that she led, she had no control over. So I felt like that was kind of my way of being like, you know, it wasn't her fault. And so like now what you're saying is I'm suppressing like all the things that she did to me by saying that she had no control over what
well, it depends. Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, yes and no. All of that is true. All of that is very kind and loving. And when a mother goes through all of that, that's horrific. No wonder how could she not become an addict? And so having empathy for that, opening your arms to that of, my heart breaks for my mom and what she went through. And I'm terrified and sad for her that because she went through all of that, she felt this was her best choice to soothe her intolerable pain. God, could you imagine that existence? Like, that's what we're doing, is we're putting ourselves in their shoes and going, wait a minute, my mom thought the best defense mechanism was to become a horrific addict. Live on the streets, I think you said. Like, that to her, like, think of that adaptation. Wow.
Yeah.
Honor that. And once she became an adult, it was her responsibility to choose to learn about these dynamics. Is she responsible that our culture is only 50 years into really dealing with any of this and most of the information isn't out there and we're all underdeveloped? No, she's not. And she chose not to. Yeah. It's both. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. It's both. And neither one is better than the other. Remember? Light and dark. We don't sequester this. We bring this back in. And so we're loving, this is what true love is loving both the dark and light. Now, we don't have to condone it. She gets abusive. I don't know if she did, but it's like, well, I understand you went through that, but I can't condone that behavior. I can't have it around me or the kids. Yeah. You know, that's different. But I love you. Yes. And I'm angry at you. Yeah. I'm really angry at you. And ultimately, now that I'm an adult, my personal anger is mine to deal with. Yeah. I can't play the victim and stay stuck and go, well, it's because you didn't deal with this, now I'm angry. No. I'm going to take responsibility. Okay, what does my anger come from? It comes from my own childhood, and I'm going to work through that. And that's the story with my father in the book. And, you know, I confronted my father, you know, when he finally pushed me, you know, and, you know, we had that's when I got set free from my father, was in that conversation that's in the book. And I said, I won't carry it for you, Dad, anymore. I love you. I love you so much, I'll let you carry it.
Was it you that had written him the letter saying, I just want you to be my friend?
Yeah,
it wasn't a client, it was you, right?
When I was in college. I was in my early 20s, and I had quit drinking alcohol. And, you know, I started to get sober. Like my recovery journey started when I was like 21, 22, somewhere in there. And I'd been sober like a year, and, you know, I started to get in touch with things. And so I wrote him a letter before I came back, and basically saying, I don't know you. Yeah. I don't know anything about you. I don't know what your dreams were as a kid. I don't know what you ever wanted to do. I know nothing about you. And I came back and I'd been home for a couple weeks, and finally one day I was standing in the kitchen and he worked in the basement downstairs. He had an office down there. And he comes upstairs and he goes, you know that letter you sent me? You just need to get over that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's the lack of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my father's denial. But it took me another 27, 8 years to figure out how this worked. Do you see how manipulative that is?
Yeah.
What I'm saying to my father is just what my father said to me. Until you become what I want, I won't love you.
Yeah.
It's what all parents do, right? And so you're talking about you wanted your teenager to be in school, but they're choosing their own path, and you're learning to accept it's her life. She can be her own path. Right. And my love isn't contingent on what you do to make me happy.
Correct.
Well, my father wasn't taught that. I wasn't taught that. I finally figured it out. Yeah. And that's when I realized how manipulative that letter was. But see, because of the worst day cycle, we become the trauma we experience. So I was just doing what I knew. Mm-hmm. It's my turn to traumatize you. I'm old enough now, I'll make you pay for not being the friend I need.
Yeah.
But in that faithful argument, when I finally, because I did the work on myself, faced the trauma, fear, shame, and mostly denial, turned the truth upon me and saw how manipulative I was and all of this stuff. And so when my dad confronted me, I was able to set the boundary. It made me safe. For the first time, I was finally safe. And that's why, at the end of that conversation, when I said, Dad, I love you. You're always teaching me something. And to me, it wasn't about teaching me how to be a man like a parent does. It was the deeper concepts in this book. That was such a metaphorical statement that I knew he wouldn't understand, but I was saying it for me.
Yeah.
And he said, Kenny, I don't want to teach you anything. I just want to be your friend.
Yep.
Now, why did he all of a sudden want to be my friend? Because finally I was safe enough to be a friend. Mm-hmm. Because he never had a parent. In a sense, I became the father my father never had, whether he recognized it or not. Mm-hmm. And so now the child inside of him could say, oh, I'll be your friend. Mm-hmm. And that's how the dynamic shifts. And so and that's why I say everyone's so afraid to confront their parents. But even though my dad didn't change, and denial is what killed my father, I let him. Yeah. And I never felt closer to him, even though he never really got closer to me. That's what happens. No one wants to do this work because it's saying my parents are bad and all the, mm-hmm. Oh my God, and it's the exact opposite happens. Regardless of what they do, you finally feel a connection to them because you're connected to you, because you're in truth, responsibility, healing, and forgiveness. So, does that help?
Yes.